Specialist and me started seeing these birther attacks on Kamala Harris last September when she launched her presidential bid. And that's where this whole, are you a real descendant of an African-American family or an African-American slave started popping up. It dipped until about January. You did a segment on your show, and then we saw this explosion of real people. They're not all bots. They are real people. They're trolls who are this small fractional fringe group led by a former black conservative, and that was picked up quickly by other conservatives. And then we started seeing the automated, non-organic cyber amplification of their message. And then when the discussion about reparations came out, their entire argument is crazy. The argument is when you were picked up on that slave ship from Western Africa, and if you were dropped off in Curacao or in Dominica or Bahamas or Jamaica, then you are less of a black than a slave who was dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina. It is a horrible form of black racism that has now been harnessed to be a voter suppression tool, because their entire campaign is don't vote for anyone who is not dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina in the 17th century.
Now, y'all just heard that clip right there, and that was from AM Joy, and that was Malcolm Nance, who was right there just spewing a bunch of BS, and that's pretty much all it was. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to play that clip again and break down his talking points to the best of my ability, especially that last part, because that's where he really went off the deep end. And you want to know what's so interesting about this? Malcolm Nance will be what you consider ADOS because he is born here to, he was born in Philadelphia. So he's from here. So he would benefit from being ADOS. But the way that he's talking, you would think he was one of those foreign-born black individuals like Joy Reid. But let me go ahead and play this back for you.
I want to push your timeline back a little bit. We first saw there's a small group of black cybersecurity specialists and me started seeing these birther attacks on Kamala Harris last September when she launched her presidential bid. And that's where this whole, are you a real descendant of an African-American family or an African-American slave started popping up.
Well, we know that Kamala Harris is not born to ADOS because we know that her dad is of Jamaican descent. She's even specified herself to be a woman of color at one point. She didn't start expressing her blackness until she set foot on an HBCU in January and thought she was going to get the black vote. And now she's still trying to cling to her blackness. Listen, the only thing Kamala Harris, as far as blackness goes forward, that she's clinged on to is Willie Jones and the black men that she managed to lock up in prison unjustly behind some unwarranted crimes.
It dipped until about January. You did a segment on your show, and then we saw this explosion of real people. They're not all bots. They are real people. They're trolls who are this small fractional fringe group led by a former black conservative, and that was picked up quickly by other conservatives. And then we started seeing the automated, non-organic cyber.
Now he's getting on the part about the Russian bots part. Now, if y'all remember in the live stream I just recently did talking about black overclass, the tethered, it was a person in the comment section who was going back and forth with me and accused me of being a bot. Because whenever you hashtag ADOS and you start talking about tangibles and reparations, in come these foreign-born black people, for the most part, and they'll come in and accuse you of being a Russian bot. That's exactly what he's doing right here, because they're just convinced that not everybody is on the same wavelength. Like, we just all can't be on one accord. Because see, they're so used to us being so in so much of a dysfunction that is no possible way we can act as a unit. So they have to accuse us of being bots.
amplification of their message. And then when the discussion about reparations came out, their entire argument is crazy. The argument is when you were picked up on that slave ship from Western Africa, and if you were dropped off in Curacao or in Dominica or Bahamas or Jamaica, then you are less of a black than a slave who was dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina.
We didn't say that they were less of a black person than us. We just said that we're focusing on people that were dropped off here and had to endure 400 plus years of chattel slavery. We don't know what was going on in those other countries. I'm very sure that it was very intense, but guess what? I'm sure that most of them already got some funding and some aid. We, on the other hand, have yet to be compensated for anything. So for him to get up there and say that we're saying that it makes them less black, no, it doesn't. We didn't say that it made them less of a black person. It's just that their experience and our experience are very contrasting. They're very different from each other. And by the way, many of the foreign-born blacks who were probably dropped off there who came here are probably some of the ones that's probably trying to take a dump on us right now when it comes to this ADOS thing.
It is a horrible form of black racism.
Black racism. Black racism. That doesn't even go together. Black racism, really? We have no power to oppress anybody. That doesn't even fit. That sounds like a white talking point if I've ever heard one. Malcolm Nance set his black self up there and said black racism. How? How is that even possible?
That has now been harnessed to be a voter suppression tool, because their entire campaign is don't vote for anyone who is not dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina in the 17th century.
He said our whole campaign tool is to not vote for anyone who was dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina in that particular year that he gave. I swear, Malcolm Nance's nose has grown so much in just that 1 minute and 37-second clip you just heard. No, we're not voting for anybody who is not listening to our demands. See, these are the people that are literally harping on that Kamala Harris train. And I'm noticing that a lot of the foreign-born black individuals, and I guess you can throw Malcolm Nance in there too because he's sounding just like him, are really riding the Kamala Harris train, but they constantly overlook what she did. See, like I said, I think black people's true wake-up call was under the Obama administration, not so much Trump, because we were actually able to see someone who looked like us, but wasn't really for us. And we're finally taking a stand and being politically correct and saying, look, if you're not going to have this, that, and the third for us set aside, for specifically just us and not no POC crap, then we're not voting for you. That's all we're saying. And see, they can't handle that because they're so used to us being so politically inept. That's what they're used to. And we're not giving it to them this time. All I'm going to say is, excuse me, 2020 is going to be one hell of a year. And they better get ready, because we're not backing down. For once, we're standing firmly, and I do mean firmly, on our square with this. So they can come with all these talking points. They can come with all these shaming tactics. They can come with all the little subliminal bashing that they want. But that's not going to move us. That's not going to sway us. Nice try, but you know, in the words of the late great Aaliyah, dust yourself off and try again. And if you do try again, make sure you come up with some better talking points, ones that we haven't already heard like 1,000 times. They think that they can actually bully us. They can't. So y'all can send out as many attack dogs as you want, put them anywhere you want, but we're, for once, actually going to make sure that this goes down the correct way. If we gonna vote for anybody, we gonna make sure the vote actually counts. And besides, on a national level, we know most of these votes don't count anyway. Why do you think Hillary Clinton lost and she had the popular vote, and Trump won and he had the electoral college? Because the electoral college is where it counts. Like I said before, do I like Trump being president? No. I would have hated having Hillary be president, but I don't like Trump being president either. But since these individuals are not getting the point, like these Democrats running, who, by the way, 4 of them we've already shut down. I think it's Bernie, Kamala, Joe Biden. Cory Booker pretty much at this point is a non-factor. And the other ones I'm not really too familiar with because they're not, factors either. That says something. So Malcolm Nance, he talked a whole bunch of BS. Like I said, that's what you heard. That's what it was. Talking about we not voting for her because she heard the sentence weren't dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina. No, that's not it. It's because we know of her history. We know of her background. Hell, we know how she got the position she got. So it has nothing to do with that. Because she could have been a foreign-born black individual and actually could have been someone we actually liked if she was doing something that benefit us, but we know that she's not. We know who and what she truly is. A wolf in sheep's clothing. But they want her in so bad because they're scared of Trump that bad. He's probably scared that he gonna take away something that was given to them by the previous administration. If it comes down to it and he becomes president again, it is what it is. Should have listened to our demands. But like I said, 2020 is going to be very interesting. Just wait and see. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one.